So next we're going to move on to,
Thank you very much for having us.
take care, thank you guys. Alina Danciu and Emmanuel Deves from the International Research University. Alina is a specialist of social sciences and data preparation and is very active in the DDI standard community and in charge of the core trust deal at the Centre for Socio-Political Data Sciences and the French National Research Centre. And Emmanuel is a research engineer, and they're both working at the Centre for Social Political Data as part of the ELIPSS panel. So I'm going to pass the virtual speaking stick over to Alina now. She's already got her slides up and is raring to go. Are you happy, Alina?
Yeah, very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'll try to catch up time, maybe if I can. So, sorry, something's not right with my slide. It's okay. Yeah, a few words about the ELIPSS panel and the Center for Social Political Data. So the CDSP is, oh, sorry. Something's not working with my, yeah. So the CDSP, Center for Social Political Data, is one of the 11 research centers of Sciences Po, which is a French social science research university, and is jointly supported with financial and human means by both Sciences Po and the CNRS, the CNRS being the French National Research Center. So the CDSP has two main missions, which are data sharing and data preservation, and also data collection with the ELIPSS panel and with the European Social Survey we won't talk about today. So we share around 400 data sets on our, I say it in French, Banque de Données, data bank. We have a Dataverse for those of you who know this platform, and from the 400, 100 and even more are being collected in the ELIPSS panel. I'm really sorry, I don't know what's it's just doing its thing alone. Yeah, so the CDSP has received the Core Trust Seal last year, and we are really happy about it. And let me tell you that the preservation issue, I maybe shouldn't speak about an issue, but it was an issue for us. It was the hardest thing to prove. And I'll try to walk you through this process and show you what was important for us in terms of preservation of the CDSP to get the Core Trust Seal. So we have a preservation mission, which is written in our legal statuses. So we ensure functions of data dissemination and data preservation. We have it. We have the legal statuses published in on the website. I provided the link, and this is very important for those of you who know the Core Trust Seal and who have worked on getting Core Trust Seal preservation, know that transparency, being transparent about your procedures is very important, and about you have to prove what you say. So we published the legal statuses on our website, and you can check them. Our designated community, who do we work for? So it mainly includes French researchers and students from the social sciences academic community, so mainly from sociology, political science, but also from economics. And what we have seen is that around a quarter of our data users are non-French speaking. And how do we know that? Our data is in French. So the data files, we have metadata in English, and the interface of our data downloading platform is in both French and English. So a quarter of the people that download data use the English interface, so that's why, hence our conclusion that they are not French speaking people. After we have seen this, we decided to translate our study level metadata into English, and we have managed to do it for almost all the catalog. By this I mean the abstract and fields where we use controlled vocabularies like sampling and things like that. Since we use controlled vocabularies, it was easy because we just took the English and the French version and we implemented in our dataverse. So now we have both. So today I'm going to focus on the preservation workflow of the French ELIPSS panel, which is a probabilistical panel. The advantage is that we both collect and disseminate data ourselves, so we are in charge of the whole data life cycle. So a few words about the panel. It is a high quality probability online panel for the scientific community that exists since 2012. The CDSP had funding from the French from the French government, let's say that, and the ELIPSS panel was implemented. So the initial recruitment round had around 1,000 participants, and that was then expanded with more than 2,050 participants. Of course, if you know some of them left, it is important to be to be representative of the French population. So some of of course, all of them grew older. So we had to recruit additional participants, and especially young people, because we no longer had young people, and this was done in 4 years ago, and 4 years after, and 3 years after. So the last recruitment round took place last year. I won't read all the numbers, but you get the idea. So for this, we worked with the French National Statistical Institute, which is INSEE. So the INSEE recruited a random sample of individuals aged over 18, people above 18 participate to the ELIPSS panel. With so they also have to have a permanent address in metropolitan France, and they have to read French. Around 100 studies, surveys were collected. It's a cross-sectional or longitudinal type of projects with no thematic restrictions. Every month, almost every month, the panelists have a survey which takes around 30 minutes. At the beginning, they had a tablet where they answered. It's important to know, that all data are digital. We don't have paper, and for the preservation manager I am, that is very important. So 9 waves are designed by research applicants, so they answer to a call for surveys, and one of the annual waves is dedicated to the ELIPSS core questionnaire. Those are mainly the social demographic data. So that means that panelists don't have to answer every month to the social demographic questions. They answer it once when they go into the panel, and they then they get the chance to to update their data once a year. Very important, with really few exceptions, for surveys that were already shared by other archives. We do share ourselves data for research, so you'll find the ELIPSS panel data on our repository, enriched with metadata that are also very useful for preservation means, and you'll see later. So this is the life cycle of an ELIPSS survey. The first step, the first step, even before the co-design of the questionnaire that you see on your screens. So the first step is your researcher or research team. You will answer a call for surveys. It is permanent now. It is on the CDSP's website. If before we had the funding from the French government, the ELIPSS panel is self-funded now, so financial participation will be asked to the teams that come to field their surveys. So once your questionnaire or your research project is accepted, then you'll work with my colleagues from the ELIPSS team, and there will be a co-design work with the ELIPSS team. Then the questionnaire will be programmed using the Qualtrics survey. There will be a phase of questionnaire testing, and then the actual phase where the questionnaire will be fielded. So the data will be collected. To those people who don't answer the questionnaire, the team will send some reminders. So there is a field monitoring work, and then we will go to the phase of the field work is over. So the data is ready to be out. It will be going out of the Qualtrics, which is the Qualtrics platform, which is a proprietary platform, and it will go out through the form of a CSV. There is a work in R, and the data from the monthly survey will be enriched with the socio-demographic data, and then it will come to my team, where we'll add additional metadata using a standard called the Data Documentation Initiative. The DDI. The DDI has several products, and we use the DDI codebook, but have tried to inspire from the product called DDI Lifecycle, where there is a reuse of metadata. So we try to reuse metadata when documenting. The principle ideally would be to enter once and reuse many times. We are not there yet, but it would be an ideal to attend. So yeah, in a few words, I've already mentioned we now have more than 100 surveys available on our data bank. And so, as already mentioned, with very few exceptions, anonymized data is shared to the scientific community. It's important to I emphasize the word anonymized and pseudonymized data, as my French colleagues mentioned before. In France, the delay for sharing data that is not anonymized would be 50 years. We do not share, of course, we do not share personal information about the panelists and things like that. And in terms of workflow, it's really important to explain that the team that works with personal data and that handles, for example, the reminders for the panelists to answer surveys has no link with the team, the people that work on data sharing. So these two workflows are separate, and it's really important to preserve the anonymity of the panelists. This is of utmost importance. So I already mentioned DDI, the other standard we use for our data management and data preservation workflow is a standard that I'm sure most of you know, OAIS, Open Archival Information System. In organizing our workflows, we have used this standard. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh. It has its own life. Preservation actions. In the past, we have worked a lot with proprietary formats. If you are familiar to with the statistical data, you know them. If not, sorry, but please do ask questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. So in the past, we have mostly worked with SPSS and Excel. Now in the open data era, we have begun working mostly with CSVs, but we do share data in proprietary formats because this is something that is asked by our users community. So we share data in SPSS, data, CSV, and SAS. Data and metadata are mostly managed using R, Nestar, and Dataverse. These are all open source software. Maybe not Nestar, but we are migrating away from, and Nestar helps us have in the end our metadata written in XML, and also for the XML obviously is for preservation reasons and for the machine. For humans, we produce a code book in PDF where we have all the very complete documentation that I mentioned here that goes up to the level of the variables. So for every question corresponds to a variable, so we'll just write in our documentation the question text and the answers to that question, the universe, if the variable was filtered, for example, if was it asked only to men. So we'll mention that if instructions were given, for example, I don't know, choose an answer, just an answer between the options below, we'll write that if the variable was recoded, and I mentioned R, we'll provide the code in the notes. Having XMLs has proven to be really important when we changed data sharing platforms. It was pretty easy for us to take all the metadata that was written in XML. I don't know if I just realized maybe you are not all familiar with XML, but if you know HTML, it's not very far from that. Is it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, when changing platforms, it was really straightforward for us to just take the XMLs and have them published in our new platform. We migrated from a Nestor server to a Dataverse platform. Yeah, if metadata was not written in XML, that would have been a lot harder to do. So I mentioned several times on the data documentation initiative. So just a few words about this. It's an international standard for describing the data that is produced by surveys or observational methods, mostly in social sciences, but we are seeing health sciences using DDI more and more. It's a free standard, and it will help you document all the steps in the life cycle of your data. It can be, and it's really important, understood by both humans and machines. So if you have questions about this, do not hesitate. So yeah, the importance of metadata in our preservation workflow. As I mentioned, the entire life cycle is managed by the CDSP, so we reuse as much metadata as possible. For example, we reuse responses from the programming stage, and concretely that my colleague will provide me a data file, and with my Nestor software, I am capable of extracting metadata in XML from that data file he provides me, and then reuse that XML to for my documentation file. I don't have to rewrite everything, so yeah, that's saves a lot of time, and also we are sure of not making mistakes. It's just an example, but it goes much further than this. And using open standards like DDI allows us to preserve data and metadata. For example, in the unlikely case where our activity ceases, our metadata are very complete, as I mentioned, and another archive, another data center it would be easy for another data center to take them over, because they are in XML and with very thorough information. I went quickly through all of my slides. I could have spoken more, but I wanted to us to have time for questions. So if you have them, I'll happily take them now.
Thanks, Alina. That was